Hi everyone, Railman28 here, Terry Bartlett, that's me, and welcome to the very first episode of Railman28 Podcast. Now I could talk about other things in my podcast, like trains and railways, steam railways, etc. But today I like to talk about something different. It is WWE. And not just any show in WWE, the grandest show of them all. Wrestlemania. Now, Wrestlemania is a great show. Now, as far as I viewed it, I somehow wasn't impressed by it. It was a great show, yes it was. Some storylines came to an end, like the Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair feud came to an end when Bianca snatched I wouldn't say snatched, just won the title, the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania against Becky Lynch. Bianca is now the Raw Women's Champion. And the only good thing of WrestleMania I do like is Stone Cold Steve Austin's return to the ring for the first time in 19 years. Now, it was in Dallas, Texas, which is the great state of Texas, as Stone Cold would put it. It's the greatest state of them all, of all the United States, Texas. And I have to admit, I did love that segment between Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. And they had a match after the Kevin Owens show. It was a no-holds-barred match. That was a brilliant match. Stone Cold had a few stunners up his sleeve, and he, as he said, opened the last can of whoop ass, as he says, if you excuse that one. I loved it. And the next match was Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, I was disappointed in that too. I was hoping for Ronda Rousey to win the title by submission. But that didn't go according to plan either. So as far as I know, the feud is continuing, which I'm glad to hear. I hope Ronda Rousey kicks Charlotte Flair's butt and wins the title. I would love it for that storyline to end with Ronda Rousey as the champion. And she's always a champion in my book. So it's Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. I liked them from the beginning. And I'm a big fan of them, as well as I'm a big fan of another fellow UK wrestler, which is Paige Saraya, as I attend her Twitch streams now and then. And I always attend Ronda Rousey's Facebook gaming streams that she raises money for good causes and charities. That is very, very fantastic and brilliant that Ronda Rousey is doing all that work. She deserves a women's award. And if I had the award to give to Ronda Rousey, I would give it to her. And I'll give another award to Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and I'll give an award to Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey as well, and Saraya. But there's other women that I like. There's Doudrop, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Bayley. All of them. I love all WWE Superstars. Fantastic. Even though some people may say, oh, it's fake. Well, it ain't. That is the truth. I mean, look at Logan Paul. He shared the experience. He had the experience, and he said it does hurt. And if you try and say, oh, it ain't gonna hurt me, well, you'll be in for a real big shock when you start entering that squared circle life. It will hurt. Believe me, it will. And I understand storylines. It's a way of telling stories about characters You learn how to act as a character, you cut promos. That's what I like. I mean, if I was a WWE superstar, I wouldn't mind if I was one. I wouldn't mind being on the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold Steve Austin to talk about mental health, or maybe talk about other things like the UK, the US, and so on. And I would love to be on the Pat McAfee show as well. When I get a passport and I can travel over there, or he can come over here and explore London and England, and we can do a podcast together, me and him. And that is another thing I need to talk about as well. For the second night of Wrestlemania, it was Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. Pat McAfee won, but as always, Austin Theory is managed by Mr. McMahon. And Mr. McMahon had, well, as you all saw, Mr. McMahon got in the ring and beat Pat McAfee down. But after all that, Stone Cold Steve Austin came out and stunned Mr. McMahon again. I don't know how many stunners that Mr. McMahon took, but it certainly was a good stunner as well. And not only that, Pat McAfee had to get the stunner as well. He has to realise when you drink beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin, you get the Stone Cold Stunner. You have to be prepared for that. And what I found funny was that when on Monday Night Raw, I recently watched a clip where Kevin Owens paid tribute to Stone Cold, and when Elias came out, or Ezkill, as he's known now, saying, "Oh, I'm Elias's younger brother," and then Kevin Owens said he was lying. Well, and when he said, "I'll give you 10 seconds to get out of the ring," when he reached 1, he walked out, and that was so funny. That was very funny. I love that one. And so today's Friday, so it's Friday Night SmackDown. Who knows what surprises that are in store? Who knows what surprises that will be in store for SmackDown? Lacey Evans could make a big return, and I hope she gives the women's right to Charlotte Flair. Or be on Ronda Rousey's side. That would be fantastic. Be a manager to Ronda Rousey. I mean, I would love Saraya to do that, Paige to do that, but it'd be fun. It'd be an interesting storyline to see where this goes. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, moving on to the men's match, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship and the WWE Universal Championship, winner take all. Now, Roman Reigns won that match, possibly by interference from Paul Heyman, and from the Usos, possibility. And now Roman Reigns is a double champion now. He's the unified champion, an undisputed WWE champion and WWE Universal champion, which is quite unique. The tribal chief has won the match. Who would take on Roman Reigns next? Now, Cody Rhodes could take him on next. That would be interesting. But he will probably take him on for the WWE Championship. And that will prove to be a great match. And no doubt The Rock would come back and challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship to prove who is the real tribal chief round the Samoan side. And I would say The Rock is the tribal chief. But who knows, that storyline could happen. It might happen, but then again I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see where this comes out. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast review of WWE. Now, I do, as a big fan of WWE, I like to give shout outs to Ronda Rousey, Natalia Neidhart, the Neidharts YouTube channel, and I love to give shout outs to Lacey Evans, Limitless One, or Limitless Lady, I should say. Pardon me. And I'd love to give shout outs to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, who are known as Rebecca Quinn and Colby. Big shout outs to them. I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Alexa Bliss. And that's all I've got to say about that for now. So, hope you enjoyed this podcast and have a nice time. See you all again for the next episode of the Railman28 Podcast. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.